Is it me or is it Memorex? It's not me. But it's probably better than me anyway because I've got professionals videotaping me. Yeah, today I'm off being drug into court to try to do my duty as an American citizen, and you're starting a new book. And I always like to be here with you when you do that. So, we're starting the Scarlet Letter. Theoretically, this should be where we start American history, American literature, historically, because it's the very first American novel, or what's considered the first truly American novel. But we started elsewhere for the reasons you know. Now we're starting at the beginning, and we'll end the year roughly where we began, kind of like a circle. You're going to start with some reading that's going to be a little difficult for some of you. That's okay. Some people think that if I don't read it real easily, like blue fish, red fish, some other color fish, or a big fish, or a little fish, it's not able to read it. That's not true. There are a lot of times when I have to read something 2 or 3 times to understand what's going on. And there's a lot of things in here that make you go, I wonder what they're talking about. Well, first of all, let's start where we're going to start, in what appears almost like a separate short story called The Custom House. It says introduction, but it's really kind of the first chapter, which will be followed by chapter 1. Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense until you read it. In fact, it seemed so different that at one time I started the book with section 1, and I figured we could read The Customs House, and so it was a little more difficult. Maybe we'd read that later. And we started it that way, and when the kids read The Customs House, they all said, Smith, how come we didn't start here? This actually makes things work. And it does. So what's going on with The Customs House? Well, in The Customs House, first we have a lot of parallels with Hawthorne himself. Now, you remember that name, Hawthorne, because we just finished The Crucible. Yeah, the writer of this book is a direct descendant of that Judge Hawthorne in The Crucible. And he hates his Judge Hawthorne ancestor so much that he purposefully, I'm going to try this in English, he purposefully changes the spelling of his name so nobody knows he's Hawthorne. Nathaniel, if that's what you're going to do to hide things, change a letter, it's not going to work real well. As it turns out, everybody figures out that Hawthorne and Hawthorne have something to do with it. But he's got problems with his Puritan ancestry, and he's going to show it. He also knows there are some things about his Puritan ancestry that are good and need to be maintained. Kind of like we talked about. Puritans have had a huge impact on American society. Some of it bad, some of it good. We'll take a look at that in The Crucible. But in The Customs House, this guy goes to work for a customs house. So what's customs? That's taxes we put on goods coming into a port. We remember Salem is a port city in that area. As part of Salem is a port city. Things are coming in, they have to be taxed. He's got a government job. There's going to be a part there in this first section, and I want you to find it. It's one of those quotes that make you go, where he questions, why would he be writing? That's kind of a not important job to tell a story. Certainly conflicts with his Puritan upbringing. See if you can find that quote so we can talk about it on Monday. The other thing is, he doesn't feel accepted or at home with the older people that he works with. Maybe you felt that way sometimes. Kind of conflicts with a little bit about who the protagonist in this story, Hester Prynne, a wonderful female character, one of the strongest female characters in American literature. Sometimes she feels the same way. We're going to see that maybe you've done something like this, looking around an old attic. Maybe you've been to a yard sale and you find some old item, and you kind of wonder, I wonder what the person that originally owned this thought of it. Well, he's kind of doing the same thing. He doesn't really fit in with the group. He's got some downtime. he's looking around this old custom house, this old thing, and he finds a pile of letters with a fancy letter on it, a Scarlet A. We've got to wonder, what is a Scarlet A for anyway? And he starts thinking about it, and he's looking at it. This pile of material is 100 years old, and it was put together by some other guy working in the customs house, that he'd found all this stuff about some woman who'd lived 100 years before that. So he starts thinking and deciding he's going to tell this story about this woman who's 200 years gone in American history. About 350 years gone in our time now. But still seems to speak to us about that dichotomy that exists as Americans. The bad that we took from the Puritans, and the good as well. And maybe the good in all of us. And maybe some shame. Be looking for the 7 deadly sins. Be looking for the 7 vices. They're throughout this book. And have fun this weekend. Be ready. Our first quiz is Tuesday over the Customs House. Thanks.